Welcome to TonePrint Tuesday, episode number 3. Today's episode comes from a question from one of you, Rafael, asking me if I've ever had a good whammy effect by mashing on the PLETHORA. First of all, thank you for your question. That's a really good one. The answer is yes, I have. And because I don't really know what issues you are having that led to this question, I'm going to assume that they might be the same ones that I had in the beginning and that I've seen other users have, and that I've managed to get around. So I'm just going to jump straight into my TonePrint Editor. So here we are. And I have loaded from the templates folder, I've loaded the wham TonePrint, which is the default whammy setting for the Brainwaves pedal and for the PLETHORA. So I'm in the Mash Editing tab, as you can see here, and you can't see the PLETHORA that I have on the floor. You don't want to, but you can see that I'm mashing because you see the donut jumping up and down on screen. So my foot's off, donut is parked on the left bottom, my foot's on at full pressure, blah, blah, blah. Have guitar will demo. And by the way, if you like that thing that I was doing in the introduction, you probably know what it is. If you don't, it's The Blood and Tears by Steve Vai. It's the intro, or at least a rip-off of what he does in the intro. If you want to know how to get your brainwaves to do that, stick around. I'm going to show you in a bit. For now, I just have the whammy setting prepped to jump a couple of octaves, and this is what happens. So my foot's off. This is my dry sound. My foot's now on. My foot's at full pressure now. So I'm just going to go between off, resting, and full pressure. Yeah, no, it's not happening. The resting pressure on these switches is enough to make it jump slightly, because they are extremely sensitive in the beginning of their little course. So as you can see, I'm just resting my foot and I'm already jumping there. So if I have an effect active in this area, it's all going to go to shit. So I'm going to go to my user tab and load up my own whammy preset, and I'm going to jump into the Mash tab, and the first thing you see is that on resting pressure I've got nothing happening there. So my curve is a lot steeper, but it only starts here on the second thing. And I make it finish earlier so that you don't have to put as much pressure into the foot as you would with the full 3-segment tilt curve. Too much fun? Sorry. This alone is enough to make it work a lot better. And of course I have this in this position here in the middle because I'm sat down. If I was playing standing up, because I'm a bit heavier standing up, I would do this with the curves. I would even probably come with the effects chain mix. I'll explain this in a second. But I would probably do this, so I'd have a lot more resting time or resting pressure without my sound being affected. So you really have to put pressure in this situation for the sound to jump. And when it jumps, it just jumps. The blue one, the effects chain mix, is the parameter that's here on the router. When it's at 0, the sound that you're hearing is your unprocessed guitar dry sound. When it's at 100%, you hear the processed sound. Because we are in the whammy subtype, if you're not putting any pressure on the mash, you hear the same note that your guitar is producing, but digitized. And when you put pressure on the switch, then the tone bend curves go up and your note gets whammied or bent up. That's why the effects chain mix has to always follow the other two curves, because if it doesn't, Well, let me try and demonstrate this in this way. So I've got no pressure, so this is my dry sound. Now I've got some pressure. And now all you hear the jumpiness, but it's just the process sound. If I do this and make my mix, effects mix, accompany the process sound, you'll hear something different, which is, so dry, dry, dry. And now as it's trying to mix the new sound, you still hear the dry, and you hear the other one in the background. So if you want this effect, by all means do this. If you want the clean this, then you need to advance the effects chain curve. So this is how I get a better experience with my whammy. Now, I told you how I was going to show you how to program for the blood and tears. Obviously, these screenshots are going to be up on my Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/pedalplatform. They're going to be free of charge, but if you want to help keep the lights on, please do so and join this list of amazing people who have contributed so far. Thank you very much, you guys rock. The ones who haven't contributed also rock, but not as hard. This is how you get the blood and tears thing. So in the subtype, instead of whammy now, you want V1 to V2, because, and I'm going to put my foot on it. Let me start showing with the mash. If you don't know what it is, it's a Steve Vai song, it's the Blood and Tears, it's the opening track of the Ultrazone album. And he's playing two notes, or rather, he's playing only one note on the guitar, one finger, single note, which is an E on the third string, but what you hear is a fourth above. You hear the E and the fourth above, so you hear this. E, fourth above. And then you hear him go up to an F sharp, and the fourth above also goes, and then you hear this. So without the effect on guitar, it would be the same as doing this double stop, and then to the fifth, let's go to the fourth. Okay? But he does it with a whammy, so it goes something like very slow. It's easier when you do it fast and when you're used to doing it. I'm not used to doing it, but this is how you do it. Basically, you get your voice 1 to 500, which is 5 semitones. You get voice 2 to 700, 7 semitones. On the knob mapping, because I'm always going to want this to load in the exact same effects independently of where my knobs are located, I'm going to flatline all the curves, and I'm going to put my common mix at 80%, which I find is a good mix to have between the bass note and the others, fourth and fifth. And I'm going to put voice 1 and voice 2 all the way to the top on the custom voice, so that it assumes these two, so 500, 700. You can see the rest of the parameters. On the mash switch, I can once again either do it here at the top or do it before, and my chain mix is going to be at full 100% in this case, because I always want to hear that second note above the first one, except for when my foot is off the pedal. That way I don't have to be turning it on and off. I can come to the router, drop it off at 0, and this is what you get. And when I rest my foot on the pedal, it's there. The fourth, right? So I'm going to go back to the original E note. So if I take my foot off the pedal, I can carry on with the solo. But the moment I need to do this lick again, I just rest my foot, and the fourth shows up, press, release, but keep your foot there, this will take a lot of practice to make sure that your foot goes up and down and never entirely off the pedal unless you want it. It's very difficult for me to do it sitting down. Standing up, it's a bit easier, but it pays off. The other option is, obviously, if you have the Plethora, you plug the expression pedal. If you only have the standalone pedal, then this is your only option. You get used to doing it with the mash switch. Either way, I hope that this has answered your question, Rafael. I hope that this has answered some other people's potential questions. If you have any more, please drop them down in the comments box. If this was useful, click like. I apologize for my crappy playing today, but it's what it is. I haven't practiced this. It was really an answer for... I'll stop making excuses now. I'm a guitar player. So... subscribe if you haven't yet. There are going to be more TonePrint Tuesdays coming up. And until next time, just go play, go have fun.